Welcome to the PLZ Football Podcast. I'm Peter Martin, delighted to have your company on the first of what we hope will be many podcasts in the company of Alan Rough and Tam Cowan. We'll have special guests over the course of the season and lots to talk about. Of course, we've got a couple of topics that I think will really whet your appetite, but I must say, something's just come into my head, Roughie. Every now and then, Tam suggests to me that we should have a wee night out, and we sometimes pick a few mates that we go out for and have a few jars and slaughter everybody we know. So it came into my head, Ruffy, if you had to pick 3 people that you'd like to go for the ideal night out on a dinner, who would it be?
Well, obviously it'd have to be used to.
Even though we didn't invite you last night. Just thought of that, aye.
That's right, I forgot about that. So used to aren't getting picked. That's a good one. No, I think it would be maybe women orientated.
Yeah.
You know,
what 3 women?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Give
me those 3, Ruffy.
Scarlett Johansson,
right.
Helen Mirren. See, there's a wee bit of an age difference there. And probably Sophia Loren if she was still kicking about.
Yep, she is still kicking about. Tam, that Ruffy's got a kind of a thought process in his mind. Who would you pick?
Well, sticking with the women theme, and as somebody that likes my grub, I'd need to have Victoria Beckham there. More food for the rest of us, quite frankly, as long as she doesn't sing. And I would like the after dinner entertainment from Scotland's very own Jerry Sadowitz.
Oh,
yep, and then a bit of at the piano, my hero Neil Sedaka, just sitting in the corner of the lounge, tickling the ivories.
That is magnificent, isn't it? I mean, that's a good choice, Ruffy. That's got a wee bit of depth to it, madness. People will easily be offended 10 minutes into it with Jerry Sadowitz, and then eventually an uneasy silence until somebody had to break the ice again.
Superb. What about yourself?
I'm going to go with Reese Witherspoon, because obviously it would annoy the life out of my wife. Reese Witherspoon for a wee bit of glamour. I'd actually probably pick someone like, I don't know if you'll... I'd pick somebody like Jerry Seinfeld, because I think it'd be it'd be a wee bit of good patter there, and then over and above that, I'd probably pick. I'll tell you who I'd pick. Somebody like Bob Woodward. Now, do you know who Bob Woodward is?
Played the Equaliser. No, that was Edward, his brother. Bob Woodward.
Yeah.
I do know who Bob Woodward is, but I just can't think it.
Bob Woodward is the guy, along with the Bernstein, who...
Oh, of course, aye.
Who obviously unearthed the Watergate scandal. So that's not a bad one. In fact, that would be a good 3. Other than that...
Bob Woodward is always the sound that you can make if you break wind in the bath. So you think about it, say it again. Bob Woodward.
Anyway, I wanted a wee bit of depth to the conversation. I don't know where the conversation is going to be yours, Ruffy, to be perfectly honest with you.
I think we just talk about where would we all be going after the meal.
Yeah,
that
absolutely. Okay.
See where it just takes you.
Yeah, I wish I hadn't thought of it now. But anyway, it was interesting. In fact, I actually, when I think about it now, I knew you were going to go down that line. Listen, the great thing about having a football podcast every week, we get a chance to pick our brains on various likes, dislikes, things that annoy us, things that we would change. We're going to obviously throw it out to anyone who listens to the podcast. They might be able to get onto us and give us their thoughts as well. And you can do that at studio@plzsoccer.com. So if you've got any thoughts on some of the discussions we've been having, then by all means jump in. One of the things I would say, Ruffy, is you guys have a wealth of experience in football. I was wondering if we could pick our World 11. We don't need to give it right now, but have a wee think about your World 11, the best players that you would have in your team. All I'm going to say to you is mine's is heavily attack-minded. What's yours before we finish this programme?
Mine's would probably be players that I really liked. I'd try and put them into some kind of formation, but there would be a lot of attackers in my team, entertainers. Defensively, obviously, you don't want to lose goals, but I think from midfield to front, it would just be mega stars.
Yeah. And is it fair to say, Ruffy, and I'm not trying to in any way second-guess Tam's, but would it be fair to say that you might be on the same kind of a thought process with me with regards to high on technical ability? Is that fair?
Yeah, I would think so. Entertaining. I think there's a lack of entertainment just now. I think there's a lack of players who you get up in the morning and you go, we're playing this team, we're going to see this particular guy. I don't think there's enough of that just now. There's individuals all over the place, but not enough of them.
Yeah, Tam, I mean, when you think about your team, how would you sum it up? We don't know it yet, but how would you sum up the qualities?
Entertainment with a tinge of the claret and amber.
Yes.
That's it. But again, like Roughie, there'd be, I tell you what, this team at the background staff, there would be no sports scientists.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. Guys like that would be barred. These are entertainers as well. I've probably got a few guys that will be in my world 11 who wouldn't get a sniff of a first team jersey in this day and age when it's all about athleticism and, you know, all about the tactics and sticking to a rigid formation, blah, 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 blah. I've got a few guys in my team which, and I think it was Jock Brown that gave us the expression via Scott Sport in the 80s. I've got a few guys in my team who would have a roving commission.
Yes.
Do you remember that great phrase?
Yes.
It was definitely Jock Brown who coined that. I'm sure it was.
I'll tell you what that reminds me of. It's the classic Jerry McCabe line, I'm picking up nobody. I'm just going to roam about, and if the ball comes to me, magic.
That's why Jerry failed recently as a taxi driver, wasn't it?
Exactly. He was a wonderful player. I mean, some younger listeners and viewers at times, when I talk about Jerry McCabe, they just look at me roughly.
But there's the thing. Let's talk about local heroes like that. You know that Jerry's a pal of mine. I'm particularly pally with his brother Peter. But Jerry's a classic example. It'd be very, very difficult for a guy like Jerry McCabe now to get into a team. You know, that wee bit of flamboyancy, a wee bit of the free spirit, you know, he'd have that drummed out of him. Of course he would.
I think there's a few guys of that era. Another one that springs to mind is Brian McLaughlin. From Celtic, he went here. Bags of unbelievable ability.
Talking about first generation Brian McLaughlin from the 70s.
Yeah, unbelievable ability. But I think Tam's right. You know, there'd be designated jobs on the park, and that's what I'm saying. These luxury players, you know, are now falling away by the wayside.
Yeah, well, the basis of this podcast, and certainly the ethos of it over the course of the forthcoming weeks and months, we'll basically get special guests in. We'll get to know them that little bit better, get a little insight into what they think about the game and some of their memories as well. And with that in mind, Roughie, you know, I've got a hero. I think it's blatantly obvious. I always, you know, harp on about him.
Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to tell you? Do you know the funny thing is?
I went to see his gravestone in Kentucky.
Yeah.
He's just there's Muhammad Ali at the front, and Colonel Sanders is just up behind him.
Yeah. Do you know the funny thing?
A drive-through.
Yeah.
Do you know what he does? See, I mean, we come from the same area. Do you know, for about 20 years when he had his column, every now and then, after about 5 months, he'd leather me, and then he'd go on and he'd wait another 5 months, and then he'd leather me again. And I used to sit there and people say, do you not get angry with him? And I go, no, you've got to know exactly what you're dealing with.
You'll never have a go at folk that you've got great affection for.
Yeah.
Or places. That's what folks say that to me. But Cowan, you hate Airdrie. I love Airdrie. I've got great pals for Airdrie. The only charity I'm involved with is based in Airdrie. Yep. The good old St Andrew's Hospice. I love Airdrie, and that's why you're able to make jokes about it.
Yeah.
And people that you like can have a laugh about, you can make jokes about them as well.
And that's why I leather you every week, Roughie.
So that's why I just like to do it.
Incidentally, this is apropos of nothing, but I've actually, you know how you get conversations? We could have one in this podcast, if you wish, about the so-called great films that you've never seen.
Yes.
Right, that's a regular one I enjoy in the pub. For example, I've never seen Casablanca, I've never seen Ben-Hur, I've never seen Gone with the Wind, and if you bring it up to date, I've never seen any of the Star Wars movies, and I wouldn't watch them.
Right.
I have never seen E.T., which is, considering I've got a 8.5-year-old daughter as well, that's a strange one to throw in. But in the food sense of thing, the other thing I'll chuck in, I have never had a KFC. There you go.
I find that absolutely
I've had
amazing.
like a burger and that and stuff, but what I mean, the traditional, the big lumps of chicken with the batter and all that, you know, I have never had.
Why not?
One of them. I don't know, I've just never ever fancied it, you know.
Right.
It is on my bucket list.
Right. Hey! Honestly, you know. No. Do you know what's happening? No, what he's
fishing rod back.
No, what he's going to do is he's going to just put the foundations in every week till he gets the gag in and then fire it away. I'm happy with that one. Anyway, listen, let's talk about heroes. Roughie, who is your hero? Because, you know, you're 16, you're playing in a Partick Thistle side, you win the League Cup in 1971 against Celtic, you're 4-0 up, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't think I've ever asked you who your hero was?
I think it obviously has to be growing up a goalkeeper, and it might surprise you, but at that era, the goalkeeper that I always admired most was Ronnie Simpson. Obviously, Ronnie Simpson, the memories of him at Wembley in the 3-2 game against England, and I don't know if you remember back then, he either wore a green goalkeeper's shirt or a yellow one, and he always had his sleeves rolled up. You know, none of this fun, fancy modern jerseys they wear now. He always had his sleeve, and he always used to go about bouncing the ball before he kicked it.
Yeah.
He must have kicked it about 45, bounced it about 45 times before he kicked it. But he just total athleticism for such a small guy, and then obviously went on to win the European Cup in '67. So for me, that was the goalkeeper that I thought was the best of that era.
You know the funny thing about it? You might not be aware of this, Tam. You'll be able to comment on it. He was two things that stick in my mind about him. One is he's the only goalkeeper I've known in a European Cup final to rush out of his box and backheel it away from the on-rushing Inter Milan attacker, who was actually, you know, bearing down on him, and if he'd have made a back end of that, Inter Milan would have scored. So that was brave. But the other thing about him is his early career, he won an FA Cup medal with Newcastle.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know that.
You know,
And he also played in the Olympic side, the Great Britain Olympic side.
There's no wealth of stats and stories about Ronnie Simpson. My dad used to tell me them for years, because where was Ronnie brought up?
Oh, you got me now.
I think it was Lanarkshire. I think it was Lanarkshire.
So.
And I think there's even some story about him playing a school game, maybe even in the same day that he made his debut for Celtic. He came straight for the school game and then did that. There's another thing, I don't know if it's urban myth, maybe it is a touch apocryphal, but I don't think it is, about him keeping, in the era when, I know you weren't particularly superstitious, were you? I think you told me that before.
Wee
bits and bobs. But what did you have kept in the goals? What would you have?
I had a cap. I always had 7 pieces of chocolate, chewing gum.
Why 7? Lucky 7?
No. 3 for the first half when it was pretty, things just moseying along, and then 3 in the second half, and 1 for the last 5 minutes when we were getting bombarded.
Right. just freshen things up.
And I always had a watch. I was paranoid. Absolutely paranoid about how long 45 minutes was going.
All right.
I always had a look and see if that's 15 minutes, 25, 40 or whatever. But you pick up wee trinkets, things that people throw into the goal and you keep,
Trinkets, what a lovely euphemism. What you mean? Bottles and bricks, golf balls with nails in them. Trinkets.
The 1950s.
Well, Ronnie Simpson, apparently, it was his false teeth. Have you heard that before? He was meant to have run on with his teeth still in his mouth, and sadly a lot of the guys of that era, when they were young, false teeth were all the rage, and he would set his false teeth in the corner of the net, and then play the game.
Who was your hero?
My hero, I had a few heroes. Is this just football, incidentally?
Yeah.
Oh, right. I was going to start with the $6 million man.
He was genuinely. He was majors.
And to this day, the episodes with Sasquatch, the Bigfoot, still haunt me. When he had a square goal with Sasquatch, and then the two of them ended up pals in one of the later episodes. They joined forces to fight the baddies, right? But he was definitely one of my heroes, as indeed was Johnny Weissmuller. One of the original and certainly the best Tarzans.
Was he not an Olympic medal winning
swimming medalist? And then bizarrely though, where they blew it in the films, and feel free to watch them again, it wasn't him that did the swinging through the tree scenes, of course. He did all his own swimming stunts, right? But when you watch the old Johnny Weissmuller films, I think it kind of spoils it. It's like trapeze kind of set up that they've got, and it's obviously a trapeze artist with the bar and the 2 ropes. Now, with the best one in the world, they didn't really grow naturally in the jungle, you know what I mean? So that always kind of spoiled. But Johnny Weissmuller, I could still happily, I get goosebumps when I hear him doing the Tarzan yodel. An absolute hero. But to answer your question about the football, for me, a lot of folk with me assume it would be Willie Pettigrew, but I kind of just missed Willie when I was a kid. I got my first season ticket, Motherwell, for my 10th birthday in April 1979. Willie Pettigrew, if he hadn't already left, it was certainly just run about that season when he went on to Dundee United, and cracking career there as well. I think a hat-trick maybe even against Dundee, League Cup final. But to me, Willie Pettigrew was kind of the memories of seeing him, the speed of the guy, watching him on like Scott Sport on a Sunday afternoon as a tiny wee kid, and thinking, wow, that guy plays for my local team, and I still think he was the guy that gave the world the perfect nasal explosion to get the snot out of his system. Not that way with the thumb and then doing one. I think he was the first guy that really excelled at that. But my then first hero, get my season ticket 1979, then thinking, right, that's it, I'm right into my football now. I'm 10 years old, I've got my season book, I go to see Motherwell every week. It would have been the late great Joe Work, without a shadow of a doubt, because he was the captain of the first fantastic team I saw. The team that ran away with the old First Division, 1981-82. Davy Hayes, the manager, top scorers in British football that season, and the league title sewn up on a spring evening midweek game up at Celtic Park, Kirkcaldy, and it was incredibly early. In fact, I'll need to have another look at that someday. It was something like, I think it might have been very late March.
Yeah,
that's some time to win a league, you know what I mean? Very late March. Up there, and all the Motherwell fans piling onto the pitch at the end. It was magnificent, and Joe was just, part and parcel of that fantastic team. The veteran, when in real terms he probably wasn't actually that old, but he certainly was when you were a kid. You know,
it was always somebody that stuck in my mind when I watched Motherwell. Joe Work.
I was going to say, to go back to Weissmuller, I read something, and I don't know whether it's true. Because he was a record swimmer, and the reason he got really, really fast was, and this was supposedly when he was doing the filming of the shows, somebody had a sort of a dummy crocodile, and while he was in the water swimming, they used to throw this crocodile into the water, and that made him have to swim quicker.
Even faster. Yeah, I'm probably going to just say that. That's not the case. That's not the case.
Johnny Weissmuller even faster if you'd have chucked an electric toaster in. I mean, a fake crocodile or an electric toaster, a wee 2-bar electric fire, something like that.
No, I'm not buying into that, Roughie. Anyway, the other point I was going to make to you, I need to tell you my hero. I mean, honestly, it was Kenny Dalglish.
Yes.
I mean, for Celtic, absolutely phenomenal. I mean, he scored goals. Every week I just used to go there to see him. I actually would go to games and just watch him. He was just magnificent. And then when he went down to Liverpool, I always remember, being able to go down and see him there. And I remember the English press saying, Keegan was the top man. There's no way he'd be able to replace him. And I think Kenny in his first game scored against Middlesbrough. Big smile on his face. Never looked back. I bought the Roy the Rovers magazine. Then I bought the Match Weekly. And Kenny actually started writing for the Match Weekly as well. And I put scrapbooks together, and my sister had painted something on the wall, Ken Dalglish and Danny McGrain. It was just absolutely magnificent.
He was the absolute model professional, way ahead of his time, way back in the 70s. You would train in the morning, and in the afternoon he would have a wee bit of lunch, and then he would go to his bed. He'd go to his bed for 3 or 4 hours.
You were scared of him though, weren't you, Roughie?
No, they were just...
Well, we had him on the show about 3 times, and you were always...
But you never knew what if you were going to... Well, if you were going... No, Kenny was just, you would ask Kenny a question, but you would never ever know what kind of answer you got. I mean, I phoned him, the first night of our show, I phoned him up, and it was when the Scotland job had become available. And I said, well, I better ask him, if he would be interested. And I says, Kenny, if anybody for the SFA phoned you, what do you think? And he says, well, I'd answer the phone, wouldn't I?
Yeah, bro.
I only ever spoke to him once, and it was on the phone, but it was one of these wee episodes I'll never forget, and it summed him kind of up. We had his daughter Kelly on the telly with us one night, and we did Offside in the old Monday nights. So traditionally after doing the show, which was recorded as live, you had to just keep it going like that. We would finish the programme, we'd get into the green room at the BBC for a wee few drinks. You'd been on the show and stuff, and then we would toddle down to the dearly departed Bonham's Bar in Byers Road in Glasgow, and they, in return for us getting some well-kent faces in, which we did, be it Tony Christie, Paolo Nutini, Graham Taylor, Joe Jordan, whoever it might have been, I can say it now because they're no longer there, they were quite happy to give us the wee lock-in, which was very convivial of a Monday night, Magic. So this particular Monday night, Kelly Dalglish, her name is now Kelly Coates. She had been one of the guests in the show. She was staying overnight at the Grosvenor Hilton Hotel up opposite the Botanic Gardens, and she says, you coming down for a wee bevy? Oh, that would be terrific, Tam, thanks very much. So we're down there, and the show would have been on the telly already. She had Kenny down in England primed with the BBC Scotland channel on the satellite telly, and she phoned him after it, and then she said to me, my dad wants a word with you, right? And you immediately think when the dad wants a word with you, you know, and even if it was your girlfriend's dad, and you think, oh, I'm going to get a bollock in here, you know. But Honor says, oh, Kenny, how you doing? And I'd had a few drinks anyway, so I would have been in awe of a guy like him as well. A Scotland great, you know. But if I can slightly just get off at a tangent here, the guy who I think pioneered that certain style of goal, the wee cut inside 2 or 3 players and then the left foot swervy, be it, of course, best exemplified against Spain, 84, 85, you know. The amount of times he did goals, that mine went past Joe Corrigan.
Well, he did against Belgium, was a world-class goal.
You know, I don't remember seeing that goal before Dalglish kind of brought it to the table, you know. But anyway, I get put on the phone, and typical Kenny Dalglish, I said, oh, how you doing? I said, your daughter did very well on the show. Aye. And I said, did you enjoy the programme? I think, here we go, here's a sound bite for Kenny. He's going to say something magnificent about our programme. It was all right. Missed the start of it. That was that. I went, oh, thank you. He couldn't just have lied.
That's exactly what I'm talking.
And
I fell into the trap. I was live on the TV on one night, and I did that comparison thing. You know, who are the 2 best teams you've ever seen? You know, and I'd said the Brazilian side, and he said, oh, the Liverpool side of the 80s or the late things were the best. And I said, well, if I was to put you on the spot, if the 2 of them played each other, who do you think would win? And he went, oh, Liverpool. By a mile. He says the rest of them are all 80 odds.
See, when he gets started to get a bit older and all, some of the goals fantastic, but as you get a wee bit older and you start to seeing him hooking up with like Ian Rush, just the amount of times he must have, even maybe for a kick out, the boy seemed to just trap it, turn, and he'd hit one of the defence splitting balls that defenders didn't have a chance with.
He did it against Watford.
Ian Rush
magic.
Straight in.
But look at the physique of him compared to the modern day.
But he was all technical ability, and I think a million and one managers will tell you he was 10 yards ahead in his head. Mm-hmm. He actually knew what was happening. He could see 2 moves ahead, so he didn't need that. He didn't need the speed because he had the speed of thought. Mm-hmm. He knew he didn't have to worry about his technical skills because he knew he had that. He was just automatically thinking, this ball's coming, I'm going to play it there. Roughie knows where it's going, bang, it's in the back of the net. It was
at the risk of you giving me an absolute bleaching for having a tiny go at your hero, right? Yep. He could have improved his social skills, right? Because just a wee flashback came to me there. Peter McLean,
yes,
who you know, who had originally done all the PR stuff at Celtic for Fergus McCann.
Yep.
I'd known Peter for a number of years as well. Peter was forever saying to me, Tam, do you want to come along to a Celtic game and all the rest of it, blah, blah, blah. But he knew gradually that I don't do the hospitality thing. My outlook in the football has always been, have your season ticket, pay in at the turnstile if you go to an away game to see Motherwell, and then if MD ever says, be it folk in football or out with football, what gives you the right to I just say, the only thing gives me the right to write stuff in the paper, be on the telly, on the radio, or podcast, whatever it is that a pie at the gate. That's the end of, and there the argument ends, you know. So I was never quite comfortable, and still I'm not. On a very, very rare occasion I would do it, the kind of what used to be, you know, knowing the prawn sandwich kind of side of football, right? But Peter kept badgering me, and I says, well, it's no practical anyhow. By the time it got into me starting the radio and all the rest of it, Peter, I'm on the radio, I can't really do all that, you know. I'm lucky even if I get to the game. He finally fixed it for a midweek game. It was Celtic against Motherwell at Parkhead. He thought, perfect, Tam, you can't knock me back at night. I says, great. He says, even better, do you want to bring one of your mates? I thought, dead easy to take one of my Motherwell pals, but I thought, you know what, if we're going to do the hobnobbing bit and there might be some faces there, I thought I'll take my mate Chris from Motherwell, who's a big Celtic fan. It'll be a huge thrill for him, you know. Took Chris along and went into whatever the lounge was at Celtic Park, and wow, there was Kenny Dalglish in with a wee posse, 3 or 4 guys just stood at one of the wee corporate bars, you know. And my mate, who was way into his 40s at the time, I'd have been, I think, mid-30s, right? Yep. He went out like a wee boy. Now this guy, you know, a wee guy from Motherwell, worked at the Hoover factory in Cambuslang. He went out his hero, Kenny Dalglish. And you know what? And people sadly remember these things. That's what guys have always got to remember, how they conduct themselves. Kenny Dalglish managed to sign the autograph without even looking at my pal. You know, one of them, where you just get one of them like that. But where you'll be delighted at me now, the guy who saved the entire night, and makes that a very special evening for my pal Chris, and he still talks about it to this day, was the one and only Danny McGrain.
Yes.
Danny was there on the night as well, and Danny treated my pal Chris as if he was an old pal, an old relative, an old school pal, whatever it might have been, and he was magnificent. He made Tim feel $1 million.
Yeah. In defence of him, he can be at times curt, but in defence of him, I think he was a superstar way ahead of any of the adulation that some people were getting in Scottish football, even the Lisbon Lions. I mean, when Kenny moved to Liverpool, he was on another planet. I mean, everybody wanted a piece of him.
Well, we all know how people in England obviously don't see our football as any standard at all. So for Kenny to leave Celtic and go down to England was a big move for him. He had to prove so many people wrong, and he didn't take very long. Before the English people were beginning to say, well, I think it was a bit of quality here.
I think it was 45 minutes. Listen, we've run out of time. We've got to get our World 11 in. Roughie, I have chopped and changed. I've kept a consistent World 11 for about maybe 10, 15 years, but I've chopped and changed because certain people have really come into my thoughts, and I just can't ignore them anymore, and I've had to put some people on the subs bench. So I've gone Schmeichel in goal, Danny McGrain right back, left back Paul Breitner. Do you remember him?
Yeah, Jim.
He was part of Bayern Munich's European Cup winning side, I think 3 times in the trot. I've got his teammate Beckenbauer. Now, I did have Baresi in there, but I've swayed towards Bobby Moore. Yep. My team is totally attack minded, so because Johan Cruyff could play anywhere, I've got him picking the ball up off Beckenbauer and Moore, and then I've got Messi, Maradona, Pele in behind the front two, and the front two are Van Basten and Ronaldo, the Portuguese Ronaldo. I have to put him in.
Well, I'm not far away from you because we're the same sort of era. In goals, I'm going to put Dino Zoff, who got to 4 World Cup finals.
Yep.
Anybody who goes to 1 World Cup final more than me has to go in.
Yeah,
because it's the standard. Full back Danny McGrain, having played with Danny. Superb. The other full back would be Maldini.
Oh, yep, great shout.
Who again is a fantastic. I went for Baresi as well, and beside him Beckenbauer.
Yep.
Now that's my defence. Now midfield to forward, it's just all over the place because it's just people that I just really like to see playing. Wide, I'm going to have George Best on one side, and I'm going to drop Ronaldo into a midfield position because he's struggling to get into my front three.
Right.
In middle of the park, I should have went for a bit of Steele and Zidane or maybe a Platini, but anybody that can curl free kicks by me has to get in the team. So Zico's in. So Zico's in the centre of midfield, and my front three are Messi, Pele, and Maradona.
Right, okay, that's a good team, Tam.
I had to write mine down, but I make no apologies for that. I'm going for a 4-4-2 formation. In goals, I was saying about I want entertainers, one of the greatest entertainers I ever saw in goals. And he was a mother man with Shuggy Sprout, Hugh Shuggy Sprout. Yeah. Loved the wee dribble, one of the great exponents of that art. Every now and again he would blow it. He did it one night against Hamilton Accies, a midweek local derby. Got to the halfway line, was dispossessed, and lost a goal, and the fans gave him absolute pelters. On that note, I loved his panache, his elan, when he would wear an emerald green jersey.
That's how
when
I
we were
remember
playing
him.
Rangers.
Yep.
And the other way about when we were playing Celtic, royal blue. He just liked that to wind him up. He also had the razor blade earring that he liked for a wee bit of style. Before there were any rules, you remember guys that were like Dirk Lehmann always been all bandaged up when he had the big hefty earrings. This was before that rule came into play. So an absolute character. My fullbacks, the aforementioned, my hero Joe Walk. I don't need to say anything about him. He gets the number 3 jersey. The other side, in that way that growing up, there's always a guy in another team, your own team, you absolutely love to bits. For me, it was Danny McGrain. I mentioned him as well. Not only a lovely man, but a brilliant world-class player.
Yep.
I think it's always fair to say. Centre of defence, I could never see by Willie Miller, right? Willie Miller, brilliant penalty box player, great sweeper, cool as a cucumber, but I couldn't have Alec McLeish next to him because that would bring back memories when Miller, McLeish, with Leighton behind him, would come to Fir Park, score an early goal, and then A3 would just play tippy-tappy until the clock was run down, right? So that gives me Vietnam-style flashbacks. So next to Willie Miller, I'm putting in big buff Brian Martin, who, for a spell at Motherwell, he was like Beckenbauer. He was absolutely sensational. Also scored, and it's widely available on YouTube, a 40-yard screamer for Motherwell at Ibrox, which was a peach. Lovely man as well. Delighted that he finally got a tiny wee bit of international recognition that he deserved. Across the middle of the park, in the central midfield, Gaza. Paul Gascoigne is right in there. I once abandoned a mate's birthday party in the Bentley Hotel in Motherwell because there was highlights on the telly imminent of Gaza demolishing Aberdeen, that legendary game when you got the hat trick.
Yep.
And that was before you could watch everything on your phone and everything. So I thought, I could nip up into one of the rooms in the hotel and watch that. So I abandoned my pals just to watch Gaza because I'd heard so many great things about that performance. I thought he was different class. There's a lot of folk that argue that there was a period in the mid-90s he was the greatest player in the world, and it is kind of hard to argue with that. Next to him, I'm putting... Now, I was thinking, I like a guy with a good long-range shot on him. I wasn't going to mention Johnny Rep, right? But the other guy, I'm sure his teammate then, who I was smitten with at the 78 World Cup as a boy, Ari Han.
Oh, yeah.
Ari Han just used to score goals for like 60 yards.
Ari Han beat Dino Zoff from 40 yards.
I mind that goal. That's the one the goal posted the wee ankle soaks at the bottom of the post, you know. For what reason, I do not know. So I've got Ari Han and Gaz in the middle. The wingers, if you like, I've got Davy Cooper, the greatest player I've ever seen in a Motherwell jersey.
Yep.
Full stop. So he's got to get in there on the left. Out on the right, sorry Roughie, but again we're talking about entertainers and that. Andy Ritchie. Yeah. He's got to be in there. Yeah. Absolutely. As I say, there's no sports scientists involved. They're not allowed near my squad. So Andy Ritchie, I don't care what size he is, the magic that he could conjure up with his right boot, he's straight in there. And up front, I know you guys have gone world, but you know, I like to talk up the Scots as well, and a partnership that I would have loved to have seen playing up front. One of my all-time Scotland heroes, Joe Jordan.
Yep.
And next to him, I like the big guy, wee guy thing, and I can't think of a better wee guy next to him, and one I would love to see a help for in this partnership. One Douglas Arnott, Esquire, who, when I was a number of years ago, sitting in the dentist, waiting again, reading a World Soccer magazine, an interview with Basil Bowley, a good few years after he'd left Rangers, and it was like an old shoot interview that I know you'd done in the past, favourite food, films, all that. Yeah. Most difficult opponent, and I nearly fell out the waiting room chair. Basil Bowley said Dougie Arnott in this World Soccer magazine. It was sensational. So that's not a bad team.
It's not a bad team.
Who's your manager for yours? You never thought about that?
Oh, the manager has got to be... I'll tell you what, I'm going to surprise you here. The manager for me is Brian Clough.
Oh, no, that's a good shout.
Because I had the good fortune to interview him a year before he sadly passed away, and I've never actually enjoyed an interview more. I sat with a camera at STV in his house in, I think it was Derby, and I'll never forget it as long as I live. Fantastic. Manager for you, Roughie?
It would have to be Jock Stein, you know, having the privilege of having him as a manager, just the respect that he had. You know, his team talks were absolutely legendary, and he had an unbelievable knack catching you when you were out of order.
Yes, absolutely. How true. Your manager?
Sir Alex Ferguson, who I think was the greatest manager of all time, and assisted, he'd never worked to him as far as I'm aware, but assisted by my managerial hero, Tommy McLean.
Right, okay. Doesn't get any better than that. Listen, hopefully you've enjoyed the podcast. Over the forthcoming weeks and months, we'll try and get a few special guests in there. We will obviously be talking about some hot topics in football. You can offer your own insight, studio@plzsoccer.com if you want us to talk about a certain player, a certain incident, things you want to change in football, things you enjoy. We'd be more than happy to discuss that with you. Of course, not only can you get the podcast right across the usual platforms for podcasting on Apple, Deezer, you name it, we will be there for you. You can also watch the podcast on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel as well. So there's plenty of ways to catch it, but sometimes if you're in the car and you just want to kick it on and listen to it and enjoy some of the banter, hopefully over the forthcoming weeks you'll spread the word as well. From Roughie, from Tam Cowan and myself, Peter Martin, thanks for listening to the PLZ Football Podcast.